They made us laugh, they made us cry, and sometimes they made us think a little deeper about the absurdity of war. MASH wasn't just a sitcom. It was a cultural moment.
Father dying, right?
Father dying last year.
Mother dying last year. Mother and father dying.
A mix of slapstick humor, razor-sharp wit, and gut-punch drama. MASH ran for 11 seasons, redefined what television could be, and gave us one of the most watched series finales in TV history. But here's a question. How did a show about a war from decades past manage to stay so deeply relevant and so deeply human? And what happened to the cast once the choppers stopped landing in the 4077th? This is the cast of MASH, then and now. Alan Alda as Hawkeye Pierce. He was the heart, soul, and snark of the 4077th. Captain Benjamin Franklin, Hawkeye Pierce, played by Alan Alda, was the wisecracking anti-establishment surgeon who could crack a joke with one hand and save a life with the other. Alda brought unmatched warmth and humanity to the role, earning 5 Emmys during the show's run.
Hold this, please. You're the woman my mother always hoped I'd be.
Born January 28, 1936, Alan Alda came into MASH with solid acting chops and left as a bona fide legend. After the show, he remained a constant presence on screen and stage, from starring roles in The West Wing and 30 Rock to Oscar-nominated work in The Aviator. Beyond acting, Alda is a passionate science communicator. He hosted PBS's Scientific American Frontiers for over a decade and founded the Alan Alda Center for Communicating Science at Stony Brook University.
Go, please. I'd like to drink it in the States.
Pushed me in the water. I hated him so much for that.
He's also an author of multiple memoirs, blending humor and insight in equal measure. Now in his late 80s, Alda revealed in 2018 that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, but continues to advocate for science and communication with unshakable optimism. Hawkeye never left the operating room, and Alda never left our hearts. Loretta Swit as Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan. She started off as a stern, by-the-book Army nurse with a fiery temper and a cold shoulder. But by the end of MASH, Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan had evolved into one of the most nuanced and powerful women on TV. Loretta Swit was born on November 4th, 1937, and took on the role with a blend of strength and vulnerability that broke the mold for female characters on TV at the time.
Burns, you wanted to see me?
Yes, and it's very important.
What's the problem, Frank?
We have a situation that's way out of hand and something has to be done.
Her transformation from a one-note disciplinarian to a compassionate leader mirrored the show's own shift from comedy to character-driven drama. After MASH, Swit largely stepped back from the limelight, preferring theater and advocacy work. She was a dedicated animal rights activist and author of Sweetheart, a book that highlights her love for animals and includes her original artwork.
At least that's the way General Barker understands it.
You called
I call General Barker.
Excuse me, I'll get my pen.
Sadly, Loretta passed away on May 30th, 2025, at the age of 87. As Margaret Houlihan, she demanded respect. As Loretta Swit, she earned it. Jamie Farr as Corporal Max Klinger. From Toledo, Ohio, came the most fashion-forward corporal in Army history. Jamie Farr's Max Klinger wore dresses in a bid to get a Section 8 and go home. But what started as a gag became one of the show's most beloved characters.
Father dying, right?
Father dying last year.
Mother dying last year. Mother and father dying.
Born July 1st, 1934, Jamie Farr joined MASH in Season 1 and eventually became a series regular. Klinger evolved from a one-joke cross-dresser to a loyal company clerk with heart and grit.
Not now, Marjorie. I'm inspecting the troops.
By the end, he wasn't just comic relief. He was family. Post-MASH, Farr kept the laughs coming with appearances in game shows, sitcoms, and even on Broadway. He also lent his name to the Jamie Farr Toledo Classic, a long-running LPGA golf tournament in his hometown. Now in his 90s, Farr remains a beloved figure for MASH fans and a symbol of how comedy, when done right, can evolve into something much deeper. Mike Farrell as B.J. Honeycutt. B.J. Honeycutt was the grounded, morally driven yin to Hawkeye's chaotic yang. Played by Mike Farrell, he brought a quiet intensity to the operating room and emotional complexity to the barracks. Born February 6, 1939, Farrell joined the cast in Season 4 after Wayne Rogers' Trapper, John, exited. While Farrell never tried to replace Trapper's wild antics, his performance added a new emotional layer to the show. His chemistry with Alda was electric, and together they delivered some of the most heartfelt moments in the series.
Kid BJ. My mother, B. Honeycutt, and my father, J. Honeycutt. BJ.
After MASH, Farrell stayed active in Hollywood and also found his voice in humanitarian work. He became a leading advocate for human rights and has been the president of Death Penalty Focus since 1994. Still active in film, television, and activism,
I'll never tangle with the master again.
It's more like it.
Mike Farrell proves that sometimes the nice guy really does finish first. Gary Berghoff as Radar O'Reilly. You heard the choppers before anyone else did, and that was probably because Radar O'Reilly already had the paperwork ready. Played by Gary Berghoff, Radar was the sweet, innocent soul of MASH, a boyish Iowa farm kid with a teddy bear in one hand and a clipboard in the other. Born May 24, 1943, Berghoff originated the role of Radar in the 1970 Robert Altman film and was the only actor to reprise his role in the TV series. He earned an Emmy for his performance in 1977 before leaving the show in its 8th season to spend more time with his family.
Doesn't Colonel Blake mind you smoking his cigars and drinking his brandy?
Well, I don't mind, and I figure as long as one of us is reasonable.
After MASH, Berghoff largely disappeared from the spotlight, choosing privacy and personal peace over continued fame. He dabbled in inventions, art, and music, showing the same multifaceted charm that made Radar so beloved. Radar may have been a fictional character, but Gary Berghoff's portrayal made him feel real.
On his honeymoon night, he wrote this song, and it goes like this.
You don't do him singing?
Sometimes, the smallest characters leave the biggest impressions. Harry Morgan as Colonel Sherman T. Potter. He rode in on a horse and immediately became the father figure we never knew we needed. Colonel Potter, played by the legendary Harry Morgan, was firm but fair, wise but never preachy, and always had a corny story from World War I at the ready.
What do you think about getting a tattoo?
Why do I need one?
Born April 10, 1915, Morgan already had a long career before MASH, with over 100 film credits including High Noon and Inherit the Wind.
Let me put it this way, Burns. Houlihan.
Colonel.
Yes, sir.
Dismissed!
He joined MASH in Season 4, replacing McLean Stevenson's Colonel Blake, and made the role entirely his own. After the series ended, Morgan continued acting well into his 80s, including a role in the short-lived After MASH.
Beginning at 2200 hours, you are all hereby confined to the Officers Club for the duration of the whiskey.
He passed away on December 7, 2011, at the age of 96, leaving behind one of the richest legacies in television history. Colonel Potter reminded us that leadership doesn't mean barking orders, it means earning trust, and Harry Morgan did just that. McLean Stevenson as Colonel Henry Blake. Lovable, bumbling, and totally unprepared for the madness of Korea, Colonel Henry Blake was the kind of leader who survived more by charm than strategy. McLean Stevenson played him to perfection, so much so that his unexpected death in the series became one of TV's most shocking and emotional moments. Born November 14, 1927, Stevenson left MASH after season 3 to pursue other projects. Unfortunately, lightning didn't strike twice. Several of his subsequent sitcoms failed to find an audience.
Regimental headquarters. For your eyes only, top secret. Is it?
He passed away on February 15, 1996, from a heart attack. But his role as Colonel Blake remains iconic. That final scene, a simple announcement over the intercom that his plane had been shot down, was a gut punch that changed television forever.
Renee, Loretta, and the parrot and what Yvonne saw. Oh, Radar, you'd be bored to death. I mean, it's all medical stuff.
Blake may have been out of his depth, but Stevenson made sure we loved him anyway. David Ogden Stiers as Charles Emerson Winchester III. He was pompous, arrogant, and supremely skilled, and we loved every minute of it. David Ogden Stiers joined MASH in season 6 as Major Winchester, replacing the more buffoonish Frank Burns with a character who brought class warfare to the operating table. Born October 31st, 1942, Stiers brought Shakespearean gravitas to the role, but also surprising depth. Winchester was more than a snob. He was a man of principles, capable of compassion when it mattered most. After MASH, Stiers became a prolific voice actor, lending his baritone to animated classics like Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas, and Lilo and Stitch.
This is going on. Someone put it in my bed.
You put a dead snake in his bed?
No, it's only dead after I killed it.
He also worked regularly in television and theater. Stiers passed away on March 3, 2018, at the age of 75 from bladder cancer. His performances on MASH and beyond remain unforgettable. Larry Linville as Frank Burns. Frank Burns was the character you loved to hate. Sanctimonious, cowardly, and endlessly irritating, Burns was the perfect foil to Hawkeye and Trapper John. Larry Linville leaned all the way in, making Frank both ridiculous and somehow believable. Born September 29, 1939, Linville left MASH after 5 seasons, feeling the character had run its course.
Dear Diary, I can't go to sleep before I tell you about my scrumptious Major F.B.
He spent the rest of his career appearing in guest spots on various TV shows and doing theater work. He passed away on April 10, 2000 from complications after cancer surgery. Though Frank Burns was despised by the characters around him, Linville's performance was respected by everyone who watched.
How do I rate with you as a surgeon?
Frank, don't you have enough pain?
Frank, come on, give it up.
What the hell is that?
He was the worst of the worst, and we wouldn't have had it any other way. William Christopher as Father Mulcahy. In a camp filled with chaos, Father Francis Mulcahy was the calm center. William Christopher brought quiet dignity, compassion, and a touch of humor to the chaplain, who served both God and the 4077th with equal dedication. Born October 20th, 1932, Christopher took over the role after the pilot and made it entirely his own.
Do not drink wine or strong drink, thou. I wonder, is there a doctor in the tent?
His gentle presence and occasional moments of fiery conviction gave the show a moral backbone. After MASH, Christopher reprised his role in After MASH and remained active in both acting and charitable work.
How would you like to get the last rites? And a few left. This is the 4th time. Why me?
Especially autism advocacy inspired by his son. He passed away on December 31, 2016, at the age of 84 after a battle with cancer. But like Father Mulcahy, his legacy is one of peace, kindness, and enduring strength. From makeshift surgeries in war-torn tents to poker games under dim lights, MASH was never just about war. It was about humanity, flawed, funny, and deeply real. The cast who brought it to life have each left their own unique mark on pop culture and on the fans who watched their stories unfold. Some continued to shine in the spotlight. Others chose quieter paths. But all of them were part of something that changed television forever. Did your favorite MASH moment make you laugh? Cry? Maybe both? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more journeys back into television history. Because legends like these, they never really say goodbye. They just fade out to the sound of a distant helicopter.